The Mumbai-based artist, writer and journalist Prakash Bal Joshi has straddled the three professions with distinct success over the last 4.5 decades. Apart from being an astute observer of his state, Maharashtra's politics and culture, Prakash enjoys a formidable reputation as a short story writer in Marathi and a growing national and international reputation as a painter. His predominant genre has been abstract painting and also by design. As a writer, too, he is known to deal with abstract themes not necessarily grounded in traditional plotting. Over the last 1 year of being confined in his Mumbai apartment because of India's raging COVID 19 pandemic, Prakash has managed to keep himself creatively motivated by using his stock of archival paper to continue to paint. Before the pandemic, he was deeply immersed in his own version of the blue phase, where he experimented with the color and its relationship with light. However, the pandemic pushed him towards a more diverse color palette and even for the first time in his career, watercolors. Prakash spoke to Mayank Chai Reports on what it means to be a painter in the time of a pandemic. Prakash Bar Joshi.
Prakash, I see a very interesting painting behind you. Since you are an artist, let me start with that. What's that painting?
That is a painting from my series called River Returns. As you know, I have been passionate and I have been fallen in love with rivers, and most of the time they keep on recurring in my art expressions. Like initially, almost 25 years ago, I was struggling with River Saraswati, which has disappeared, and from then onwards, I have been doing a lot of work. This work I started after the pandemic, when I was in isolation and really not knowing what to do because there was no resources available to even do your work the way you want. And this series started because I had few archival papers with me, crown size, So I started working on that, and slowly, I developed this river returns, kind of thing. Basically, it's my own memories or of various rivers I have visited across the globe. Like if you go to Moscow, all those kind of things. Like if you go to Europe, you see
Right.
rivers in London, Thames, and that kind of thing. So that's my interaction with the rivers and my own imagery.
Right. You spoke of isolation caused by the pandemic. I I want to understand how that influences the mind of an artist because I mean all art, even writing, is essentially an isolated pursuit. But this is something that has been enforced by forces beyond your control. So how did that affect you as a painter?
Yeah, that is, see, that isolation which every creative person desires and creates his own kind of isolation, kind of own way where he enters and then he's out of this world and he creates his own world. For example, I have been going to my studio, and once I enter my studio, I'm into different world. Like I cut off myself from all the influences outside the studio, and then my creative process begins. But there is a lot of difference. That kind of isolation is by desire, by your own choice. And for painter, freedom is very important. Without freedom, you cannot think, you cannot imagine. But this kind of isolation is totally unknown, totally new to everybody of us, including painters also, and especially painters because this isolation is not by choice. This isolation is out of fear because you have seen what havoc coronavirus has impacted the whole world, so many deaths and so much of misery and pain and loss. So all those has impacted mind. So this isolation is not merely isolation, but this is isolation mixed with fear, anxiety, and total uncertainty. Like as you know, we don't know when this deadlock will end, when whether we'll be able to go back to pre COVID kind of days when we used to move around freely across the globe, or there will be a new normal kind of thing where so many things have already changed. So as a painter, I realized that this isolation is I must get out of this isolation. Otherwise, it is affecting everything. It is affecting your already affected your daily life, and it is also affecting your creative process also. So to get out of that kind of fear, that anxiety, I had to go back to my creative process, and that is my last resort. Once I enter into my own world where I create things, maybe in words or in colors, using colors. But even there also, I realize that it is no more what it used to be. Even if I want to paint or if I have to draw, it is no more what it used to be. There are so many factors affecting. For example, I cannot reach out to my studio, which is not very far off from place where I stay. But even then, to get out of the house, from the housing society, and then walk or take a vehicle and reach that place, my studio, it's also surrounded by so many other entities, and that area is also under a threat kind of thing. So I could not go there. So I had no canvas, no oil paint, nothing, and I had to invent what I have in my house. So I started using paper, and for the first time, I started using watercolor, which I normally did not use. And luckily, I had a set of watercolor tubes, which was presented to me by a friend of mine when last time I visited London, and those came very handy. And then I began working with them and experimenting with those colors available to me. And I must say that work on paper also really helped me a lot. I realized that it's a totally different process. So I had to change my creative process. I had to change my uh, way I paint, where I see things, and where I want to, how kind of generate kind of impact I want to through my work.
Right. This confinement, like you mentioned, it is out of compulsion rather than out of choice. Has that affected the way you choose your colors, for instance? Maybe I'm overthinking this, but I'm interested to find out whether colors have entered that you didn't think would ever enter your palette.
Yes, absolutely. They have not, and not only I have ventured into watercolor and bit of acrylic colors, but the the way I choose my palette, the way I used to work. For example, I was in love with color blue. I was passionate. It was a kind of a blue phase in my
Right.
creative process. For almost last 4 5 years, I was only exploring blue and shades of blue, and kind of blue I was creating myself by mixing different colors. And I was not getting out of blue. People used to ask me. Sometimes they started calling me Blue Man. People coming to visit my show and all. But I was steadfastly with blue only, and I never ventured out and never tried any other hue or any other color. But with this pandemic, I have realized after almost 7 8 months that without knowing, I have come out of blue,
Okay.
and my palette has expanded, and few more colors are also entering into it because that maybe out of same feeling of anxiety, fear that has drawn me to the colors.
Right.
And to begin with, initially for 2 3 months we were totally numbed with this total lockdown and all. And when I first started working on paper only, I was only using black color. I was using only black ink and black paint, either acrylic or watercolor, only black.
Right.
I don't know why, but for some time I worked only in black, and then slowly I turned into other colors, and then I returned to my series and started working on that. It was a slow process. Like it started with black only. Earlier it used to be only some flow or some lines, some patches. That's how it started. So as you say correctly, and this is not only my personal experience. I have been in touch with many artist friends across many other countries as well as in India, Mumbai. I realized that they have also uh, faced the same thing. They have also little bit had to compromise or change their art processes, and the way they express has also affected.
Right.
With this totally unique, and we have not experienced anything like this for, I don't know, must be a century or something like that. So even that earlier plague pandemic and now, it's a lot of difference.
Right. You are particularly attuned to nature. You've obviously absorbed light in many different ways over your long career.
Uh,
And now that you've been confined because of the pandemic for nearly a year, of course, there is light where you are, but not the kind of light that you would like to see bounce
yes,
off various
yes,
things in nature. Are
like
you
most,
drawing on your memory to do new paintings?
yes, actually, because see, when I enter my studio, nothing comes with me. Like I don't bring anything with me. No photographs, no under drawing, nothing. So what comes with me are no images. Like I also move around. I have to travel a lot, and
Right.
like so many things which I take pictures of. So, but nothing enters my studio when I go there for creating something to work my own way. Fortunately, I have got very strong visual memory. If I see something and if it really touches my heart, then it's like some photograph has been taken. So it's with all the minute details. So when as you say correctly, I also really miss traveling and visiting new places, talking to new people, and seeing new terrain, mountains and hills and trees and rivers and oceans. I do, I do miss. But when I start working, I don't need all these things because it's already there. Because my memory, track of my memory is already full of so many visuals which I have experienced personally, and especially the way I do my work, paintings. I work with the light. Means when I was using blue, while using blue and blue various hues of blues, I was trying to catch the light or bring the light into that into what I was doing because I think it generates kind of magic, the light, and because mostly my expression is kind of no forms, like it's very abstractionist, but when you feel something, like you connect with it, and the way the light is used or the way light emanates from the color I have, the layers of colors I have used, because the layering of colors while you're painting also plays a very important role in light when it reflects, when it is reflected and it reaches the viewer.
Right.
So I love playing with the colors and try to bring out that magic light,
Yeah.
to my painting. For example, you just have a look at the painting just behind me, and you will feel, that I mean there is nothing, but then you feel flow of light.
Right.
You see it. Do you see the flow of light in that painting?
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
that's how I keep on
Yeah.
working.
You mentioned visual memory. I'm reminded of Claude Monet, who was obsessed with plein air, that is going out in the open and painting, to the extent that he was so obsessed with transient light that he would
Right.
get fidgety if he missed a particular time of the day. Now,
Yes.
that's a very different style of painting. There are painters who don't step out of the studio, they think they have it all here.
Yeah.
Uh, you seem to have struck some balance. Is it a conscious thing or it just evolved over a period of time?
No, it's not conscious thing. It just evolved over the years. And basically, I had done work very about a couple of years ago, and I tried. I was obsessed with because I come from a place called Igatpuri,
Right,
where you get almost 200 to 300 centimeter rains every year. Like out of the monsoon, like 4 months, but 2 months are all cloudy. There is no sunshine. So I was amazed when there is a rain, and after that there is a lull. There is no rain, and the sky little bit open up. There is no sun ray as such, and that dim kind of light which falls on the wet leaves of huge tree.
right.
I wanted to catch that light emitting from the from that green tree, the leaves. I tried it of course I did it in my own way. I was happy with that work. So I'm doing all kinds of things which normally, I mean, they are just my own experiments and my own likings and my own
Right.
seasons, what we say, or passions. But that gives me immense pleasure when I do it. And I see sometimes that whatever I'm trying to do, it reaches them. The viewer may not be able to say in those many words, but they go somewhere in between. They get the little bit of feeling into that painting.
You have a background in chemistry like I do, physics and chemistry.
Yes,
Does that knowledge come in handy at all? Does it help you in terms of looking at light and colors very differently from a regular person might?
absolutely. Because see, ultimately we see even say 19th century, 18th century. See, they were basically even the artists were basically chemists because they used to procure and they used to process their own pigments,
Right,
and each pigment has its own characters, own values, and they also react in particular manner with each other. And then you need the bonding. All these things with my chemistry background, it really helped me because I know what color is reflecting, what color is reacting with what color,
right.
what results, and that helped me. And in the process, I learned a lot. In the process, I developed those things. But these things were in my back of my mind. Actually, I was trying to use natural colors also, but somehow I could not pursue that further.
Right. Uh, to change the gears a bit, you are as recognized as a writer in Marathi. In fact, you are one of the most distinguished, respected writers in Marathi. There you play with words. Here you play with colors, paint.
Yes.
Is there any similarity at all in the way you choose your words and the way you choose your colors?
No, not exactly. Actually, when I look back, but see, even my writing also is very spontaneous. It's not. I'm not I'm not an author kind of thing. Like you devote your life or you spend
Right,
more time writing. I write only when I feel like writing, and that writing also is my own way of looking at things, mostly into the minds of other people around me, and then try to understand a little bit of it. As I realize that words are they give you very limited space to express, because every word has got definite meaning.
right.
You can change its position and change the meaning also. or some words keep on rolling and they also keep on changing their meanings over the years or over the generations. So I realized that while writing, when I used to write, I, I, I I write finally. Like what I write is the final. Like I don't make any corrections because it's already ready in my mind. Then I write kind of thing. So while writing also, if I get stuck somewhere, then I also start doodling. In the while in the writing process itself. Then I realize like that's my understanding that what I cannot write or what I cannot express in words, then these colors give me a way of expressing myself which goes beyond logic, beyond words.
Right.
So what I'm doing on canvas is beyond words, and it's a kind of a universal language.
Right.
If I write in Marathi, then the only people who know Marathi will understand, or write in English or whatever it is. Like those languages, they confine you within a kind of group of people.
They do, yeah.
But if I do something on canvas, since I have exhibited my work almost from New York to almost London, Venice, and even Moscow. So what I realize is when people stand in front of a painting, they are not bound by anything. Like they don't know who is our artist or who has done what is the background and all these things. But they try to relate with that painting. And each and every one with his own background, with his own personal religion, language, country wise, his own experience in life. With all that, he connects with
Right.
the with the painting you have done. So it's a kind of universal language. Like if I
And
want to
it's a very individualized communication between the seer and the seen, that is the painting.
exactly
There is no intermediary there.
no intermediate, what's happening.
Right. Uh,
It's a very basic thing, It's a
yeah.
very basic thing, and so you don't you understand it or you experience it. You may not. You may not try to realize what it is, but
Right.
you try to experience what are the feelings or what is there, which is beyond words.
Yeah. Just as the pandemic triggered a new series of paintings, has it done the same with your writing, or you are not writing that much right now?
With fortunately almost last decade, I was not written anything.
Oh, I see. That's a long time.
A long time, and whatever I have written so far, it it's almost 40 years. It's a product of 40 years,
Okay.
almost, and mostly I have written short stories and some poems here and there, but they're not very major. So almost one or two short story a year or something like that.
I see.
Last 10 years, once I started and involved more into oil painting, especially where you require a lot of processes and you want to get involved. Somehow words have ran away from me. 10 years, I've not been able to write anything.
Yeah.
I
That's
mean,
interesting.
it may start going again. I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
but as you say, the pandemic has not
Okay.
so either either it has touched my heart or touched my creativity in a way where I would start expressing in words. I have not done it so far.
Right. It struck me that the last collection of yours that I read, the English translation, Mirror and Other Stories, it was pretty clear to me that you are as much of an abstract writer as you are an abstract painter. I think there is a clear bridge between the way you write and the way you paint, which is, I'm sure, difficult as a writer. Painting abstract is something that you do naturally now.
Yeah.
But writing abstract is it requires some effort. Tell me a bit about that.
Yes, absolutely. Because see, see I'm very miserly with words, and I don't like descriptions. I don't know. I mean, so I get. I'm repulsed. And, so I think that if I'm going to write something, it should be uh, not very verbose. And when I write, I'm not writing about like how you're looking, what are your gestures, how you talk. But I'm going beyond that and trying to dissect. I'm not only talking about person, but dissect a person or try to understand an event or something which has really affected me or my life, or I see being affected a section of society. So I write, and as you say correctly, and I have been experimenting while writing. I'm not merely writing simple. Of course, my language is very simple. Like if you read, it is just like a 3 or 4 standard student writing. So simple. There is no adjectives, no adverbs,
Right.
no similar similes or something like that. But it is a simple language also, but it goes beyond. And sometimes most of the time I've been doing like I've been doing experiments on my canvas. I've been doing experiments with my words of the way I
Mhm.
express myself. For example, there is a story called Ticha Mungechi Rangasarang. It's a story of two young lovers, and then I have huge about 150 words paragraph, and the 150 word paragraph is nothing but just a collection of words.
Right.
Words create image, kind
Yeah.
of. So I'm trying to take my reader to a different image or different world by merely using words.
Right.
No full stop, no nothing.
And finally, is there something new in terms of a series that you might be working on as a painter that you might want to talk about a bit?
No, I know. So no, I don't decide. Even this, which is really fascinating, and I'm doing it for quite long because of this pandemic, like more than a year. But I don't decide. It just comes out of it. Like I just because I keep on doing experiments. Like
Right.
once things come to normal, I will go back to my studio and start working more with the proper canvas and oil paint and all. But I will keep on experimenting, and I don't decide anything or nothing. Actually, when I go to my empty canvas, my mind is also as empty as that. Like I try to make
Okay.
it as empty as that.
Okay.
Leave it to my subconscious and the way I work. Of course, it doesn't come just like that because, or even doing that, there is a riyas done for last so many years. Like
Right.
drawing, doodling, and plus sketches and plus experiments. So all
Right.
these things they come out there. That helps.
Before I let you go, how is the art market these days for a painter based in India? Say, for instance, I presume your main survival comes from your painting.
Yeah, it's a very sad situation, especially in India. It's not very good, especially those upcoming young artists. It's very difficult to survive. I know a few of them are really struggling
Mhm.
because as it is, there is no structured art market in India because it happens spur of the moment or there are very few. If you ask me, there are not more than 100 art collectors, serious art collectors who really understands and who really collect and keep the art work properly. Others are use art for just decorating their walls and that kind of thing. It's not pure art as such. And because of this pandemic, everything is standstill. But I see a lot of art galleries, a lot of artists, they are going online and they're using
Mhm.
internet because now the whole life is online. Like now we are speaking with each other, it's online. So a lot of things are happening, a lot of discussions are happening. But I won't find too many sales happening on net,
I
especially
see.
buyers from India, they are not very happy to buy from the net. But it's not the same case outside, especially Western worlds, including
Yeah,
America.
I tracked these Christie's and Sotheby's. Hundreds of millions of dollars are just spent without any problems at all.
Yeah, absolutely. And see, now what has happened is they have also developed a system. Like I have been represented by a gallery from Paris. So what the gallery does is they promote your work, they send it to the art collectors. If someone likes my work, then the buyer pays 50%.
Right.
And then the gallery tells me that this work has been selected by so and so, and this is the address. You send the work. So my work physically goes to the buyer. He sees it because it's very difficult, from online you see work, but actually seeing the work is a different thing.
It's very
So
different, yeah.
it's in actual form, and then decide. So he has a look at the painting. If it is approved, then he sends the remaining 50% amount to the gallery, and the deal is done. So it helps everybody. In case he
Right.
doesn't happy with that work, then he sends back the work to the artist. Then the gallery what it does is initially artist send the work with his own cost, his own money to the buyer. So buyer has sent it back. So the gallery cut that money and give it back to the artist so that artist is not at loss.
I see.
So it is at the cost of the buyer. If he doesn't like it, then he has to pay for to and fro of that.
Now, it's interesting you mentioned about the problem of seeing it online and seeing it personally, because it's
Yes.
pretty clear that online the light reflects very differently. In fact, it almost seems backlit when you look at paintings online,
Yeah, yeah,
but
absolutely. Yes.
they have a very different feel when you stand in front of them, even in terms of size and the depth of it.
Exactly. And layers, especially if you're working on layers, that's more difficult.
Right,
And if
right.
you're working, and if you are want to play with the light in your work, then it's more difficult. Because,
Absolutely.
however, whatever powerful the camera is, he cannot catch it
No, you cannot. No.
because it's a creative work by human being. So it's very difficult. Whatever camera you get, you will not get the kind of light, natural light emitting out of it.
Exactly. No, it's a different feel altogether. Yes, I agree.
And everybody, and especially the art collectors, also they want to fall in love with the artwork which they want to buy.
Yeah.
See it, they want to revisit again and then see it. But see, they are also adopting this new way because otherwise they also can't be going to because all the galleries are closed. Even if they're open, it's not that easy to reach to the gallery and see the work actually. So they are also slowly coming online and seeing a lot of work which they cannot see in the gallery. So the kind of work is available on the net is huge.
It is.
So they have got more choice and they're enjoying that.
Are you attracted to the latest fad or trend of the non-fungible tokens? People are making a lot of money with random digital art. Have you tried your hand at that at all?
No, not yet, but I would certainly like to because first of all, I want to understand the mechanics behind it and the working behind it. I am in touch with a person who is well versed with these bitcoins and blockchain and all these things. So once I know exactly what it is, then I
Okay.
will certainly try because I am a man with beginning experience, so I would certainly try my hand at that.
Right, right. Okay. On that note, Prakash, thank you for your time. Always a pleasure to talk to you.
Yes, thank you very much for your time and
All right, not at all.